Hello, this is Jerry. Welcome to another lesson on JavaScript. I will be showing you how to make a rocket ship blasting off and flying off to on the screen. And as we as we go, as you can see, I've already have marked it up and style um, the the layout of the rocket and the background and all the other images that the rocket, like the flame and the effects for animated, some sort of animated or smoke that's coming out of the rocket once it's launched. So in the body, as you can see here, I have the background image, and and then I have the source of the image. I got it from Pixabay. Um, and then I have the rocket, which I set the position at the very center bottom. Then the blast, I set it where it's right underneath the rocket, the flame, the actual flame. Once it's the rocket launched, and I set this to a Z index. This is both that and the the smoke that is going to be displaying once it's the rocket launch, and then disappear. So the Z index of -1 would hide right underneath, well, not really hide, but it more of a better appearance for the rocket. So, and then I set the heading. Notice that I have the countdown. I'll set the countdown here, like up here, with the style. I have it styled to green and bold, and give the font size so we can see it on the left hand side of the corner. And then yeah, so I've been giving I was commenting out these where I got these images, like the rocket, um the flame, and like the smoke that's coming out of the rocket. Well, it will appear like a rocket. I mean, appear like smoke is coming out. Um, so I had to use my image photo editing skills on Photoshop to crop and to strap them, um, to cut away what I want. So, and then so we can actually see it, how everything is laid out. So let's run it Chrome, launching the Chrome. And yes, you can see you have the sky. It's probably the ground, and then you see this is the rocket right below here in the very center. Okay, so we can go back to the code, and we need to add some script to add some functionality. So to start, we will need a variable where we can, for the rocket. Let's start with the rocket movement. Where we need a variable to set where a position where it will use. Okay, let's start declaring y and set this equal to 0, and that's the starting position of the the rocket, and this will bump up every time setInterval is constantly running the function every 1/10 of a second. So I can bump it up by 1 or 2 or 10, but in this case by 5. And this determines the speed of how you want your rocket to move on the screen. So let me comment this. Start point is a starting point of rocket movement. Then we need to set the setTimeout for the function that we are going to run after 3 seconds of the launch. So we'll call this rocket move up 3000 milliseconds. That's 3 seconds. So 3 seconds to blast off, which is when the rocket will move. And then we need something where we can stop the rocket. So we need to set a variable to a setInterval var stop rocket equals. So when we call the clear interval, we can stop the function from running. So set interval, that function rocket move up about 100 millisecond, which is 1/10 of a second. So okay, now we need to set a variable where we want to start the count. Okay, call this num and set this to 3, and then we will need another variable to set the setInterval for every second of the countdown, so we can see the count is really counting down to the launch. So var, call this stop count is set interval. Let's give this some space. Okay, give this some space. No, not really, but yeah. So count interval the function and give this, so document .get element by ID, and we're targeting the countdown like we said for that heading right here, the heading here. Let's see, dot inner HTML, set this to num, which is the count, and update that count to num minus minus. which is counting down. Curly's, comma, and then the 1,000 millisecond, which is one second. So that each second the count comes down by 1. And then in the here, oops, and then right here. Yeah. So now onto the function. So function rocket move up see. So we start say if num is equal to 0, then we want to clear, like we said, clear interval, the stop count of the num, so that it won't keep on counting onto the negatives, and we want to stop at, you know, when after 1. Then this function will run. Yeah, just like here, we want to match this set timeout, the 3 seconds here, with the number of the countdown. Okay, and then we want to have declare several variables. One would be would be for the rocket, call this rocket document dot get element by ID, so we can target that rocket image. And we'll call this the blast, so we call it this R blast, rocket blast. So R blast, so document dot get element by ID blast, ID blast. That's what we're targeting already, like here. Okay, and then we want, see, another variable for the countdown. Again, say launch, call this launch document dot get element by ID count down inside this function here, inner countdown to we need to set the launch dot inner HTML. So like, since when number 0, we want to say blast off HTML after the countdown. So say blast off. Okay. Then we want to set another variable. Oh yeah, let's just below. See, let's put it just. See, let's put it just below the R blast. So var, we'll call this G blast as maybe the ground. Let's call this smoke blast, I guess. S stands for S blast. So okay, give this a document.get element by ID. S.blast. I'll use it later in the function. So just pretty much S dot. Let's oh, actually it was G blast. Well, yeah, let's keep it G blast as the ID. Doesn't really matter, but because this ID is targeting this image, the smoke image at launched. So okay, then we need an if statement to say if now we're using the y variable, the starting point of the rocket movement, which will be in pixels. So y, if y is equal to, let's say, I don't know, like 1000, this will be pretty much close to off the screen. Then we can say, and we can start using our variables. Well, before that, we need to, once it reaches 1000 pixels, then we need to say clear interval of that stop rocket. We need to stop the rocket at 1000 pixels. So once it reaches 1000, so we need to change the launch message here to say we've made it of some sort. So launch dot inner HTML set to hooray, we made it, something like that. And then we have for the we'll have an else to say why this will actually move the rocket. So it will the rocket position will be the bottom position would be updated 5 times. So by 5. So y, shorthand for y plus equal 5. So rocket dot style dot bottom is set to y concatenation plus, and then we're using pixels. So every time it bumps up by 5, you know, from the starting position. So now for the R blast, which is the rocket blast, is style dot bottom, set this y minus so I was able to play with the numbers. So you're gonna have to, like, there's no guessing here, but it's like more like you have to play with know the position, you know, where from that rocket, and it would have to be starting from, since the bottom, since I would say, I mean, you can probably guess, but like from the rocket position is set to 0, like we see for the Y. Um, so like we set for the rocket here, 0. Um, so it would have to be below 0, so it has to be a negative number. So you would have to really actually play with it, or with the numbers. So I set it to negative 85, and then plus concatenation plus, and then the pixels. Then the R blast, that's the source of the image. So it's rocket fire dot png, which is which would be the source of the image. That will, once it's up in the air, that rocket would stay with that flame, that blast flame will stay with the rocket as it goes up on the screen, as it moves up in the screen. So now for the style, guess we need to set the block value, because by default the R blast, which is, let's see, where's the image? Right here, the blast here. See, it's by default is set to none. So we need to set the display to a block. So dot display, set that equal to block. Okay, and then inside this, we're still inside this else. We need an if statement for for the for the for the smoke flame. So it's if y is greater or equal to 160, then we want sblast dot style dot display block, and give this an else. So same thing, but Control C, Control V. Oh, actually, this, we want this first to be none, and then else will be blocked when, if it's less than 160 pixels. Well, I mean, 160 pixels if y is less than 160 pixels. And then we want, okay, the source of this So the source of this, so we can the source, we can have it here, the else in here, like s blast dot source set to rocket fire dot dash blast dot png. That's what we call it, of that image. Yeah, rocket fire blast. Yeah, well, I should call it the rocket fire blast smoke, but yeah. Yeah, so this is the smoke effect after, after launch. And let's go to the web page. Okay, now we just need to refresh. 3, blast off. As you can see, it's moving +5, +5, +5, +5, +5 up until it gets to 1000. Hooray, we made it. And there you have it. So you can do all kinds of things with this rocket, and you can be more creative, maybe change the background after it leaves the page so it looks more animated, and more realistic, and change the background, maybe a more darker sky, and then into the space, and then landing onto the moon, of your choice. So yeah, so that's all. Thank you for watching. We have completed our lesson. You are welcome to subscribe, comment, and share. You may go to the discussion area for the requests about any web programming lessons or projects you would like me to show you.